Hey guys, so let's go ahead and get started with our first recorded video lesson for these AMI days that we're having. So just to kind of recap where we're at this point, guys. So we're starting a new unit. We're starting our unit on statistics. And if we think about what we did on the first 5 days of our AMI work, some of the major points we looked at were first, how to figure out if a question is a statistical question or not. Essentially, a question is statistical if you can get more than one answer from that question. For instance, if I went and asked every person in the class, how many siblings do you have? That's a statistical question because some of y'all might not have any siblings. Some may have 4 or 5, even more. But the point is, I could get different answers from each person that I asked. So asking how many siblings do each of y'all have would be a statistical question. Now, if I asked, how old am I? That would be a non-statistical question because there's only one answer to how old I am. Or if I asked how old one particular student in the class was, there's only one possible answer for how old they are. So that is not a statistical question because you could not collect data for that. In other words, you could not collect a set of numbers for answers to that question. And you can't do anything with data if you don't have more than one number or set of numbers to work with. So that's all it really is for a statistical question, if you're trying to figure out if it is or not. If you can get more than one answer out of it, statistical. If there's only one possible answer, not statistical. Okay. We also looked at dot plots, frequency tables, and histograms. Those are pretty straightforward, I would think. I feel like the information I gave you all did a pretty good job of explaining how to do it. But if it didn't quite get it to where you were understanding what was going on, please feel free to email me or message me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have if you're still confused about how to do any of that stuff. Okay. So that was the first 5 days of the AMI packets. So now we're going to start day 6. And what we're looking at this week are 4 different ways to take numbers and analyze them. And they are mean, median, mode, and range. Today we're going to start with mean. Now, a word that you'll often hear with mean is the word average. So if they ever ask to find the average of something, they're probably wanting you to find the mean. So we're going to look at the side of our day 6 AMI packet that says calculating the mean number 1. And so looking at that side, I'm just going to kind of read the directions on it and just kind of explain a few keywords in the statement that they give you. And then we'll go over the example they give us and see how the mean works. Then we'll do a couple examples to help kind of set y'all up. And y'all should be pretty good to go to be able to do the sheet. Because once you know how to find the mean, there's really just one way to do it. And then it's just rinse and repeat. So on the side that says calculating the mean number 1, it says calculate the mean for each set of numbers below. To find the mean of a set of numbers, add all of the data together, then divide that sum by the amount of numbers in the set. Okay, so a couple things to think about when they say that. First off, the word data. Again, when you hear the word data, it's just essentially a list of numbers most often. There are other ways to represent data, but for the purposes of this lesson, we'll just think of data as a list of numbers that you're given. For example, on the example they give you, the data set is 2, 2, 8, 10, and 8. There's the list of numbers they want you to work with. And again, that's the example at the very top, right below directions. Another word we want to talk about is sum. We've talked about sum a lot, but just to kind of recap it, since it's been a little bit since we've been together, sum is simply the answer to an addition problem. For instance, the sum of 5, 4, and 3 is 12. because 5 plus 4 plus 3 equals 12. So what they're saying, as far as finding the mean, is if you're given a set of numbers, add every number in that list together, every number in that set together, then divide by how many numbers are in the list. So if there's 8 numbers in the list, divide the answer by 8 once you've added them all up. We'll look at the example just to kind of clarify that so we all understand what's going on here. So if I look at the example they gave me, it says, here are the numbers in the set. And again, we talked about it a little bit just now. They're 2, 2, 8, 10, and 8. Then it says add them together. So they add them all together. 2 plus 2 plus 8 plus 10 plus 8. And they get an answer of 30. So their total, or their answer from the addition problem, is 30. Then it says divide by the amount of numbers in the set. Well, if you look at the set, there are 5 numbers in the set. 2, 2, 8, 10, and 8. So they do 30, which was the total from adding them up, divided by 5, since there's 5 numbers in the set, and it gave them a mean of 6. So the answer to the example is 6. Okay. So let's just do a few of these examples here. I'll do a couple on this first side, and then we will look at a few on the other side of the sheet. So it says on number 1, it gives you the list. And if we look at the list is 2, 4, 6, and 8. So if we remember what it said for calculating the mean, the first thing you need to do is add all the numbers in the list. So I'm going to go ahead and add them. I'm going to do 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8. And if I do calculate that, I end up getting an answer of 20. So 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 is 20. So here's my first step. I've added them all up. And again, feel free to use your phone, use a calculator, whatever you need to do to calculate the answer here, use the means that you have. So there's the first step. I've added them up. Now, if I look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers in my set. So to get the mean, I'm going to take that 20 and divide it by 4. Well, since 4 times 5 is 20, that means 20 divided by 4 must be 5. Therefore, the mean on the first question is 5. So just writing that down for you guys. Here's what we got on the first one. We've added up the answers. And then once we got the answer of 20, when we added them up, we divided by the numbers in the list, which was 4. There are 4 numbers on our list, and it got me a mean of 5. All right, let's look at one more on this side, then we'll look at 2 on the other side, and then I think I'll be pretty set to go for this. We'll do a couple on the other side because there is a few details I want to talk about to clarify the back. So on number 2, if I look at number 2, I have a list of 2, 1, so I'm going to write that down, 2, 1, 4, 6, 1, and 4. So there's my list. We're looking at number 2. So again, what it tells us to do to find the mean is we're going to add them up. So we're going to do 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 6 plus 1 plus 4. I'm going to calculate that real quick. So if I throw that on my calculator, I end up getting an answer of 18. So that total was 18. Now that I have my total, again, I need to look and see how many numbers are in this list. Well, We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means I need to take my answer of 18 and divide it by 6, since there's 6 numbers in the list. So again, if we have 18 divided by 6, if we think back to our multiplication tables, 6 times 3 is 18, which means 18 divided by 6 must be 3. But again, if you're struggling with your multiplication tables a bit, because these are pretty simple answers right now, but they do, trust me, they do get much bigger, much more complicated. But if you have a calculator, there should be no worries to finding the answer on some of these, which again, we'll clarify that when we get to the back. Because for now, we're getting some nice, easy whole numbers, as we see right here with our mean being 3 on number 2. So on the back, we're going to get into at least one on the back that gives you a decimal. We might do more than one on that. But we're going to take a look at the other side of this AMI packet. So if I flip to the other side of the AMI packet, let's take a look at it real quick. The other side of my AMI packet simply says finding mean. So we're going to just kind of work on that, a couple there, and then y'all should be good to go. But again, if we get to the end of these examples, guys, and you're struggling with what to do, please feel free to email me, message me. I'll be happy to work with you guys and do whatever you need to help you further understand this and better understand it. So if I pull that up and look at it, I'm just going to write this list down real quick. On number 1, first off, it says find the mean or average. Like we said, mean and average often are used interchangeably of each set of numbers. Then it says round your answer to the nearest tenth. Well, if we remember, when you're looking at decimals, tenth is the first decimal or is the first number after the decimal point. So they want you to round whatever answer you get to that first number after the decimal point. So let's take a look at the first two here, and then I think I'll let y'all give the rest of these a shot. So I'm just going to copy this list down real quick. On number 1, my list is 6, 15, 16, 20, 13, 5, 10, and 16. Okay. So remember our first step. We're going to add all the numbers together. So here we go. We got 6 plus 15 plus 16 plus 20 plus 13 plus 5 plus 10 plus 16. So we got several numbers in this list. So as we can see, we've amped up the difficulty a decent amount. At least we're going to be getting bigger, slightly more complicated numbers here. So if I look at my list, I'm going to go ahead and add them up in my calculator again. So I have 6 plus 15 plus 16 plus 20 plus 13 plus 5 plus 10 plus 16. If I do that, I get an answer of 101. So when I added them all up, my total was 101 if I added them all together correctly. Okay. Now I'm going to look at my list and I'm going to count how many numbers are in my list. So if I do that, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So that means I need to take my 101 that I got from adding them together and divide them by 8. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I got 101 divided by 8. And when I did that, I ended up getting an answer of 12.625. So 12.625 ended up being my answer on that one. But we forgot a step. We have not rounded to the nearest tenth. Well, if we remember, we talked about the nearest tenth is that first number after the decimal, which is a 6. Okay. And if we think about our rounding, the first number after decimal is a 2. Well, remember, if we're going to raise this up to a 7, this has to be 5 or bigger, which it's not. So since this number is less than 5, we are going to keep the 6 a 6. So our answer, once we round it, is going to be 12.6. So the mean on number 1, on the back side that simply says finding mean, is just going to be 12.6. All you need is one number after the decimal. Okay. All right. One more, and then I'm going to let you guys do the rest of these. So I'm going to take a look at number 2. If I look at my list on number 2, it tells me that I have 19, 5, 9, 12, 10, and 5. Okay, so I made my list. And now, one more time. I think we got this down pretty well at this point. Like I said, guys, there's nothing, no extra step to this. There's no, oh, wait, there's more moment where we have to come across some complicated scenario. It's simply add up the numbers and then divide by how many you have. If you need to round it to whatever they tell you to round it to. Okay. So one more time, I'm going to write down my first step. I'm going to add 19 plus 5 plus 9 plus 12 plus 10 plus 5. And I'm going to calculate that real quick. So if I pull my calculator out, I have 19 plus 5 plus 9 plus 12 plus 10 plus 5. And I got an answer of 60 when I added those together. Okay. So now I need to count how many numbers are in my list again. And if I look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers in the list. So that means when I do this, I'm just going to take my total of 60 and divide it by 6. And if I do that, this one's pretty straightforward. We don't have any decimal this time. We're going to end up having 60 divided by 6. Well, multiplication tables again if you don't have a calculator. 6 times 10 is 60. Therefore, 60 divided by 6 should equal 10. So on this last one, my mean is equal to 10. So there's my answer on that one. So again, guys, that's all there really is to mean. It's just 2 steps. Add up your numbers. And then once you figure out how many numbers are in your list, divide by that many numbers. And that's really all there is to it. So I think this will be a good first lesson as far as pretty simple, pretty good way to ease our way back into the lessons here, guys. So what we'll do is each day this week, we will practice one of the 4 we talked about. We have mean, median, mode, and range. So there's our 4. And then Friday, we'll recap all of them. So that's really all there is to this lesson, guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. Once again, I'm here for you guys, however you need me to be. Whatever I can do to help you guys out, to help you all best understand this material, please let me know what I can do. I know it's not the easiest not being in class together to learn about this. So we'll do whatever we can. We'll find the means that we can to make sure that we all have the best chance to understand this as well as possible. So thank you guys for listening. Please message me, email me if you have any further questions about how to do this. If not, good luck. And I will be sending you guys a link to our Google Classroom page for y'all to be able to submit work or ask any further questions. So that being said, thank you guys for your time, and I will see you guys in the next video.